Oh, hi there. Welcome to a Mr. Upchurch class.
Mr. Upchurch is great.
Little warning, if you're watching this before actually coming to my class, be prepared that you're going to hear basically the exact same thing when you walk into my doors for the first time, because quite frankly, I'm really just not that prolific. Now, that's not to discourage you in any way from watching this movie. Enjoy. I kind of think of this as like a digital syllabus. I'm just going to kind of go through what the expectations are for this class, kind of give you a little introduction to how things work in an Upchurch room. So the required materials, regardless of which class you're taking, are basically the same. First thing, you're going to have a writing utensil. Alright, so here's the deal. I'm not saying that I won't have some kind of writing utensil in here for you to borrow. I'm just saying I probably won't give it to you. Here's kind of how it works. Back in the day when I first started teaching, I had a ton of pencils. And I would give them out whenever a student was in need. You know, they come to me, they say, "Hey, Mr. Upchurch, I need a pencil." I would oblige. Now, when you give a pencil out, though, what I soon found is that those pencils never return. Okay, but I was trying to help. You know, I would give them a pencil because for me, giving them a writing utensil was kind of like an extension of my heart going out to them. I was aiding their educational experience, and that was just like a little piece of me that was being given to them to be used in the educational process. But those pencils then were taken, never to be returned. It wasn't like they were used. No, a borrowed pencil is not a valued piece of property. Those are the things you see in the hallway, and kids are like tripping over them. So that was like a little chunk of my heart being stomped on. So when I would think about that, I get emotional, I cry in class, it's embarrassing for me, it's embarrassing for you, so I just try not to lend out pencils. Disclaimer for any concerned parent watching this video: if indeed your student comes to school without a writing utensil and is in desperate need, we will provide. Required material number 2, notebook, paper of some kind. It is an English class or an English elective, depending on what you're taking. We will be doing some writing. Make sure you have some kind of paper to do that writing on. Required material number 3, you will need some kind of folder. A binder is probably too much for this class. Get a folder, keep your stuff in it, we'll be good to go. Required material number 4, or rather highly suggested material number 4, since we will be using technology quite frequently in this class, it'd probably be a good idea that you have either internet access at home or a jump drive if that is not something that you have access to. We can work around this. If you do not have those materials at home, no big deal. We will find ways for you to get access to this stuff. But for your benefit, if you have the internet or if you have a jump drive, it will just make certain things in your life go so much smoother. Required material number 5, yourself. Don't come to school, you probably won't be real successful. Just throwing that out there. With my class, the way I do everything is I will be designing everything that goes on around large, objective-based assignments. Good news? That means less homework. Bad news? That means less grades in the grade book. Everything we do will be moving towards these large, objective-based assignments that show me that you really get what we've been covering in class. So what that will mean for you is if you miss any one of these assignments, it will have a very negative effect on your grade. You're going to have so much time to get this stuff done. We will be working on it and working on it and working on it, but if you miss that assignment, because there's really no cushion, it will affect your grade immediately. So you probably want to think about late work policy, the way it works. Anything that is turned in late within the 6-week grading period in which that assignment was actually assigned will have a 10% deduction taken off the top. However, anything that is turned in after a 6-week grading period in which it was assigned will not be accepted for credit at all. Now, I work some grace period into this. For any major assignment, you're going to have 1 to 2 weeks before the end of a grading period to get that into me late. But since you'll have been working on it with me for approximately 6 weeks, keep in mind that if you try and turn it in after the end of that grading period, it will not be accepted. Now, special circumstances that have been approved by the administration, totally different story. Next thing you need to be familiar with are the bell ringers. Now, the bell ringers are going to be projected up on the board. You're going to have that every single day. Unless something like traumatic happens to my projector, it will be there, so you guys do not have to endure my handwriting. I will walk you through this process in class. That way you don't have to listen to me say it here and then go over it in class. The main thing you need to know is these will be your participation points. Since these are participation points, you won't make these up for days that you're absent. If you're gone on like a school event or something, they'll be credited back to you, but you can't gain points for days that you weren't here to participate. However, this isn't going to count against you unless you're gone for more than like the equivalent of a week of classroom instruction time. The way this all works is I use these bell ringers to gauge how the class is receiving the material, how we're processing this as a class. So it's really important to me that you're here to do that. So that's why these are participation points. Alright, last thing before we start talking discipline policy here. Tutoring. If you need help after school, a lot of the time I am here. I am available to help you. However, I am involved in a lot of things outside of school. I have a wife and two beautiful, adorable children. And so if you do want to tutor with me, just make sure you let me know, and we can make that happen. Right, classroom discipline, aka the law. So, classroom discipline in my room, really, everything just centers around the concept of respect. I really do believe that if this is a respectful environment, then discipline just isn't going to be an issue. That being said, I know that that respect has to start with me. If I'm not respectful towards you, if I don't do everything that I can to make this environment respectful, then it's just not going to happen. If you know me at all, you know that I like humor quite a bit. But if you feel like I've crossed a line in this regard, I really want you to be able to tell me, because I want to do whatever I can to make you feel comfortable in this room. If you don't, then everything else that we do is going to be a waste of time. So, if I offend you, or if you feel like I've offended somebody else, I want you to be able to come up to me and tell me that that's happened. I'm not above apologizing for that, because I want this room to be a place where everybody feels safe. And so if everybody feels safe, hopefully that environment will make for a really good learning situation. Needed to avoid using the word environment again. So I have like 8 things that I think will kind of foster that respect. So rule number 1, be nice to everyone in this room. By nature, an ELA class or an English class of any kind is going to address different topics, some of which are going to be controversial, most of which will have varying opinions from varying people all the time. Not everyone in this room is going to agree with everybody else in this room. That's like nearly impossible. But that's fine, okay? You're going to say things that I disagree with. I'm going to say things that you disagree with. The issue is being able to handle that in a way that's respectful and polite. So, we can't, like, call somebody stupid because you disagree with them. It is okay, however, to say, hey, I disagree with you because. That's one of the main things that I want to be able to foster in this classroom is the ability to share opinions without, like, knifing each other. Disclaimer, actual knives will not be allowed into the classroom. Rule number 2, be nice to everybody, everywhere. Now this rule might seem a little bit redundant since we sort of just addressed the nice thing in rule number 1, but here's the deal. This is a high school, so with a high school comes this thing called drama. Alright, I understand, I get it, but we can't let that happen. Okay, so you might come into this classroom, maybe you're upset with a previous teacher, or maybe you're upset with some student that's not in the room. We don't want you to bring that into this classroom. Okay, every teacher that works in this building is my colleague, they're my friend, I respect them, I want you to as well. Any student that is not in this room is a person also that needs to be respected. Hypothetical situation. Right before you come to class, you get a phone call, and this phone call is from your boyfriend Jimmy. Now, Jimmy is a jerk. Jimmy is from Jamaica, and he calls you just to let you know that, hey, we're breaking up, man. Though we may never in our lifetime encounter Jimmy the jerk from Jamaica, we don't want to hear about it when you come into this classroom. I like to think of my classroom as kind of like a bug zapper for drama. You know, like bug zappers in the whole bug world are actually pretty interesting. Like they don't do anything active. They're not like chasing down bugs so they can zap them. They just sort of hang there, and the bugs can't help but come into the light. But when they come into the light, they're gone. All right, like they are zapped and they are out of here. Okay. And my classroom's kind of the same way. Like, you aren't, like, necessarily willingly coming into my classroom. Okay, I get that. It's not like, hey, I can't wait till I get to Mr. Upchurch's room. Like, you don't really have a choice. And you might not even willingly have embraced the drama that has clung to you as you walk into my door. But when you walk into my door, I like to think that there is just something about it that just sort of, like, zaps the drama away. It is gone. It is over. It will not come back. So as you walk through the door, if you gotta like shake a little bit, have a few convulsions, like no one's gonna ask questions. Like we'll know. It's just a drama. Rule number 3, no cell phones. Unless we're actually using them in class. Now, it's a new world. Technology is everywhere. We might actually pull those things out from time to time to use them. We might not. But if we have not specifically said, hey, get out your cell phones and do XYZ, don't. Rule number 4, only listen to music when we say it's okay. Now this rule isn't designed because I hate music. I love music. It's just that when you have those headphones in your ear, it's really hard to communicate with the people around you. And so much of what we do in this classroom is going to be based on discussions and being able to share your thoughts. And if you're distracted in some way, then it just really limits the level at which you can participate. Now, I know that there are some people in this school who are like the one headphone people, all right? Like they are walking down the hall and they got their own little like personal soundtrack taking them from class to class, and I get that. And I've had people come to my classroom before and they come in kind of like pulling one of these, all right? And I'll say, hey, go ahead and take that out so that we can talk. And they're like, yo, Mr. Upchurch, like music's not even on. I just have it in my ear because it's really strenuous for me to like take it out of my ear and put it back into my ear when I walk back into the hallway. So to save myself a little bit of time, I'm just going to keep it in my ear. So I bought this for a little bit, and I thought, okay, maybe this is normal, maybe it's not distracting, but it is. All right, so like I actually tried to teach a lesson with one of these things just hanging out of my ear, like it is right now, and it was extremely difficult. Okay, like my whole equilibrium was thrown off. I felt like this entire part of my body was like isolated from the rest of the world. It was not normal. I couldn't communicate very effectively. So I'm just going to say maybe you possess faculties that are far above my own, but just for the sake of argument, let's just assume you don't, and we'll just take them out. Rule number 5, the straight line and quiet rule. Now, since there are some things changing in the district where we have technology within the classroom at a higher level, this rule might not actually happen all that often, okay? But when I take you out of my room, what we'll do is we will stand in a straight line, ladies will be in the front, guys will be in the back, and we will leave the room in a respectful manner, quietly, staying together. The reason that I do it is not to torture you. There's a couple things happening when we do this. First, if we're in a straight line and we're quiet, we're all together as that unit walking down the hallway. We're not disrupting anyone, and it's just a much nicer way to go places. Secondly, we've got kind of a little bit of a common courtesy thing going with the ladies in the front and the guys in the back, and all together it just is a much more positive in the hallway experience than like just letting you go and then there's this stampede mentality that takes over. Rule number 6. Do not plagiarize. At this point, you know what plagiarism is. Taking anything that is not your own and claiming that it is. With all the technology that we have, it's going to be really, really tempting just to copy and paste things over and say this is your writing. Chances are you're going to be caught. We use things like turnitin.com that help us prevent that. But even if you're not, just show integrity. I'm going to come into this assuming that you will do that. I'm going to give you a benefit of the doubt in all situations that you are going to write your own stuff, you are going to do your own stuff. Just do that. This is a learning experience. You're not learning anything if you're stealing stuff from other people. Rule number 7, bell dismissal. At the end of class, a lot of times we'll still be doing something. Maybe I'll be in the middle of finishing up a lesson, or you'll be presenting or doing something like that, or we'll be having a discussion and we'll be wrapping that up. If the bell rings and we're still wrapping that kind of stuff up and you guys just get up and leave, it causes like a lot of confusion, and it could be rude, especially if it's somebody's presentation that you all leave on. So to avoid this, I will dismiss you, not the bell. So at the end of the class period, when everybody is in a seat and quiet, I will say the same thing every single day. Have a great day. Make wise decisions. You're going to hear that forever. Now, if I cause you to be tardy because I held you over a little bit, I will take care of that. I will call down to the office. You will not be penalized for that. If, however, you cause yourselves to be tardy because you weren't in a seat and quiet waiting for me to dismiss you, totally different scenario. So just be prepared for that. And last rule, number 8, the dress code. Now, I love the dress code. In fact, if it were up to me, the dress code would really be more like a uniform. Everybody would wear dress shirts and a tie every day. Just my personal preference, all right? But here's the deal. Obey the dress code. Wear appropriate clothing. It is a distraction to the class if you do not. That is, for me, a major respect issue. So the only other thing that we could possibly cover is the Chromebook policies that we will have in the class, and that's on another YouTube video, so you can check that out. Otherwise, I hope that you guys have a great semester. I look forward to seeing you in actual non-virtual class. So, have a great day. Make wise decisions.
Hi, guys.
Hello, current, future, and prospective students. Hi. Hello there. How's it going?